Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Ruach. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who taught us this truth. Shalom also to the Akim pushing this word in sincerity and in truth, and to the speckled bird across the four corners of the world, and to the few sisters who are listening. To you I say Shalom. Lord willing, this will be an edifying lesson on the Brother Chadash here from the GMS Chicago camp, coming back at you with another lesson. And the title of the lesson, as you can see, is Give Yourself Homework. And one of the main responsibilities that we have in this truth, right, is to grow in this knowledge, right? The scriptures tell us this. It is the book of Colossians 1 and 9. It says, for this cause we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you and to desire that you might be filled with the knowledge of his will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. So in this truth, one of our main responsibilities is to be filled, right, with the knowledge of his will. And not only that, but to have all wisdom and spiritual understanding. So when we're in this truth, man, we're responsible for not only growing in this knowledge and in this truth, but we're responsible with also teaching it, man. You see, when you learn this knowledge, it's not for yourself, man. Ultimately, it's for this. This is the book of Sirach 24 and 34. Behold, that I have not labored for myself only, but for all them that seek wisdom. So ultimately, you did not just learn this truth for yourself. Really, you learned it for the other, for the rest of the brothers and sisters and the righteous, hopeful elect that are really, hungry for the Lord, that really want this word, right? You're laboring for them as well, man. This ain't just about you. We're working out our salvation with fear and trembling, but this is also about the sheep, man. We have to feed the flock. And with that responsibility in mind, we have to grow in this knowledge, man. And that's why, hence the title of the lesson, you got to give yourself homework, man. You see, because if you don't give yourself homework, if you don't have objectives in this truth, if you don't give yourself tasks, right, in this truth, ultimately you're going to be idle. And the scriptures tell us that much idleness. Let me get that real quick. This Sirach 33 and 27 says, send them to labor that he be not idle, for idleness teacheth much evil. And when you're just sitting around doing nothing, and you're not occupying your mind with with whatever spiritual homework you got to take care of, man, your mind starts to get preoccupied with bullshit, things that really do not matter. Things you shouldn't really be thinking about, man. Things you shouldn't even be worrying about, man. Because much, being idle teacheth much evil, man. Just being around, just sitting around all day doing nothing, that eventually is going to lead to you going off or doing something that's going off, man. Because when you're being idle and you're not being preoccupied, this is what your mind is doing. It says the earthly tabernacle. Let me get that real quick, because when you're just sitting around doing nothing, you give Satan a chance to play around in your mind. And you got to be able to actually combat that, man. And you do that with giving yourself spiritual homework. Because if you give yourself spiritual homework, and that could go, that could range anywhere from, you might read a book that day, you might make a lesson, you might, give yourself some spiritual homework that week. And you might set a regimen for yourself and say, well, I'm going to watch, let's say, for example, I'm going to watch Revelation, the 20th chapter breakdown. I'm going to take good notes on that. And that's going to be the breakdown for this week. You got to give yourself homework so that you could grow in this truth, man. It says right here, Wisdom of Solomon 9 and 15, it says, for the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind that museth upon many things. So when you're just sitting around doing nothing, you basically give, you give leeway to Satan to play around in your mind, man, because this this body is weak, man. This body is weak as fuck, and this flesh is weak, is wicked. And the scriptures even tell you that the heart is desperately wicked. Let me just get that, Let me get that real quick, because your heart, your mind, it will really play tricks on your ass, man. Especially if you're just sitting around doing nothing. That's, you're basically making it easy for Satan, man. You got to give him a fight. You got to give him a challenge, man. But it says right here, Jeremiah 17:9, it says the heart, meaning the mind, is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? So your mind is deceitful, man. If you start, just sitting around doing nothing all day, that's going to press down your soul, man. And your mind already naturally muses upon many things. Your mind already naturally thinks about shit all the time, man. You see? That's why you got to give yourself spiritual homework, so that eventually, you're so busy doing spiritual things. You're so busy, dedicating your life to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and doing the work and reading and doing this. You're really giving no room for for Satan to really play in your mind. Because one of the main things about this truth, man, is that you really, it's a spiritual fight, and you got to gird up the loins of your mind. It says right here, 1 Peter 1:13, wherefore gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Yahushua HaMashiach. So, hey man, you got to gird up your loins, your mind. If you don't take care of your mind, and you're not giving yourself spiritual homework, and you're not staying busy within this truth, your mind is going to be very, very vulnerable, and you're going to be compromised by Satan, man. Because one of the main things that Satan is going to attack is your mind. And if your mind gets compromised, everything else falls, man. Because if you already lost faith in your mind and your head, you're through, hey man, the rest is going to follow. You see, because the Lord is not going to come defend, somebody that's double-minded, man. Somebody that's doubting him. Somebody that, hey, look, that's why it says right here, Sirach 2:12, it says, woe be to fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goeth two ways. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not. Therefore shall he not be defended. And look, man, if you become faint-hearted in this truth, you see, and you start to lose patience, man, and you start to basically have a fearful heart, and you start to have a faint heart, you see, the Lord's not going to come and deliver you. The Lord's not going to come and save you, man. Hey, the Lord weighs the heart. The Lord is looking at the thoughts in your mind. He's seeing the things that you're meditating on. He's seeing the things that you're thinking about constantly, man. That's why it's very important that you pay attention and that you constantly feed your mind this word, man. You don't want to be thinking about bullshit all fucking day. You want to give yourself spiritual homework, man, so that you stay busy. When you're around the elders, man, especially, when you've had, the privilege to meet the apostles and, brothers that are in a high position in this truth, right? One of the main things that you notice about these brothers, right, and the reason why they're able to put out so much lessons, the reason why they're able to pump out so much, produce so much work for the Lord, right, is because they have a regiment. They have a regiment, man. The elders, they're not just all willy-nilly just walking around, just, fucking sitting around all day, man. When you start to talk to some of these elders, hey, some of these, the elders be having a whole schedule, man. They have a whole regiment, that they put themselves under, to keep their flesh under subjection, man. One brother that I'm thinking about right now, man, when I think about this brother, man, to me, he embodies discipline, man. I'm talking about this brother. He told me his schedule, man. He said he wakes up in the morning, he reads. After he reads, he goes and works out. After he works out, he goes and handles whatever business he has to handle, man. And when you put yourself in a routine like that, and hey, granted, every brother's routine is going to be different, man. What's going to work for you, might not work for another brother. But you, at the end of the day, you got to give yourself spiritual homework. You got to give yourself homework so that you grow in this truth, man. You got to make it an objective to get to the next level, man. You see? Because, look, man, you got to be rooted and built up in this thing, man. You can't just be here, with your hands in your pocket, you can't be here counting sheep, man. You got to be, flipping the Lord's talents. But it says right here, Colossians 2. And I'm going to start off at verse 6. Colossians 2 and 6. As ye have therefore received Mashiach Yahushai the Lord, so walk ye in him, rooted and built up in him, and established in the faith, as ye have been taught, abounding therein with thanksgiving. So one of the responsibilities that you have, in this truth, especially if you are a teacher, right? If you're out there on the highways and byways bringing out this word, one of your responsibilities is to be rooted and built up in this, man. You have to be established in this faith. You have to know what you're talking about, man. Ultimately, when you're out there, you gotta make sense, man. Everything you're bringing out has to coincide with the scriptures. It has to make sense. It has to go precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. And it all has to flow and make sense, man. Because if we're out there teaching, we can't just be, out there, for 1 hour straight just talking about random ass shit. We got to bring the scriptures out, man. The apostles always say we got to let the scriptures speak. You see? So one of our responsibilities is to be rooted and built up. And we have to know what we're talking about. We have to be studied to show ourselves approved. It says right here, 2 Timothy 2 and 15. Study to show thyself approved unto God. Which that proves that you got to give yourself homework. Don't wait around for a brother to give you tasks. You got to put yourself and give yourself tasks. You got to put yourself in it. You got to give yourself an objective, man. If you've been around here for a decent amount of time, for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever years, you gotta really examine yourself, and really for example, me, I've been in this truth for I'm still a baby, man. I'm a babe. I've been in this truth for 4 years. So sometimes when I'm reading and I don't understand certain scriptures, I kind of get a little frustrated with myself, because it's almost like, damn, I've been here for 4 years and I still don't have this breakdown. What the fuck is wrong with me, man? And then I put myself in a situation where I, go and ask for questions from the elders. I go watch the video. I'll go watch the breakdown. I'll go take notes. And then boom, man, you give yourself an objective, and then you go and tackle that objective, and then boom, you keep growing, man. That's what this truth is about. You really have to grow in this, man. You have to study to show yourself approved. You can't just be out there on the highways and byways, talking about dumb shit, Because that's what a lot of guys do, man. They just go out there and for 3 hours straight just talk about random things that have nothing to do with the scriptures, man. Talking about anime and movies and random ass shit, The believers don't want to hear that, man. They want to hear the word. You see? And that's why you got to give yourself homework, because when you give yourself homework, you're going to be studied up. You're going to rightly divide the word of truth. You're going to have the proper, you're going to have the proper regiment that's going to put you in a position for you to grow in this truth, which that ultimately is going to be beneficial to the body, because now your vessel, your body is going to be meat for the master's use. And that's what this is about, man. You got to be meat for the master's use. How is the Lord going to use you? You haven't been reading all week. You haven't been studying all week. How is the Lord going to draw anything out of you? Or how is the Lord going to use you, your body, as a vessel, and you haven't really been putting in, the work for anything, man? You got to put yourself in a position for the Lord, to allow yourself, to really allow really let the Lord use you, man. You see? Which really, hey man, hey man, the Lord is going to use you regardless, whether you want him to or not, man. If you think you're going to escape from the Lord, he'll Jonah your ass, man. You can't walk away from this, Either one way or another, the Lord is going to make you grow, man. It is better if you give yourself spiritual homework and make it an objective to grow. Because if you wait around and, you wait around until a brother rebukes you, or even worse, you wait until the Lord finally steps in place and, forces you to grow, man, it's going to be a very, very uncomfortable process, man. It's better to put yourself in that spiritual fire, yourself. It's better to put yourself in that self-examination yourself. It's better to give yourself that spiritual homework yourself, man, so that you grow, so that you put yourself in a position, so that the Lord don't fuck you up, so that the Lord doesn't have to step in, and, basically put you in the right direction, man. You got to put yourself, in the proper direction, man. You can't just be out here, basically all willy-nilly, bro. That's going to really mess you up, you see? But it says right here, 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So that's another reason why it's a responsibility, to really make it an objective to grow in this, man, because we have to rightly divide the word of truth. And, us being teachers, it's not a light thing. I'm going to end it off with this scripture because it says right here in James 3:1, my brethren, be not many masters, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation. Matter of fact, let me get that in the NIV. Because when you read the NIV, man, it tells you this. Let me get it real quick. This is James. Salakia. But it says right here, this is James 3:1 in the NIV. It says, not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. So us who teach, we have a very huge responsibility on our shoulders, man. It's not something that you could just mishandle and treat it, like it's a whatever thing, man. You can't be nonchalant about your salvation. You can't be nonchalant about your growth in this truth. Ultimately, you can't be nonchalant about this whole matter that we're involved in, man. This righteous dealing that we're a part of. The Lord has called us into a very, very heavy lot, man. And we have a very huge responsibility to push out the right doctrine, to push out the correct breakdown, man, to rightly divide the word of truth and teach and feed the flock the right doctrine, man. Because everybody else is really feeding the flock, bullshit, man. But right here at Great Millstone, right? Hey, bro, I'm fully persuaded we got the 100% truth, man. Nobody could fucking, no. Nobody could tell me that we don't got the truth, man. This is the truth, man. All right? Hey, I'm fully persuaded, man. This is the truth, man. You're going to sit here and tell me IUIC got the truth, man? You're going to sit here and tell me ISUPK got the truth, man? You're going to sit here and tell me stupid-ass Akari got the truth, man? Hey, I believe that there's sincere brothers in there. But at the end of the day, man, it's about teaching the correct doctrine and feeding the flock the correct truth, man. You see? And that's why us as teachers, right? Us putting up these lessons, we have a huge responsibility, man. We really have to grow and make it an objective to grow. Hence the title of the lesson, Give Yourself Homework, man. You really got to give yourself homework. You really got to give yourself things to do in this truth, man. You got to make an objective and really tackle that objective and really grow, man. When you do that, man, that inspires brothers, man. When I see certain brothers grow, and overcome certain demons and start growing in certain areas and getting a little more mature, I get inspired by that, man. That puts a move in my spirit to go even harder for this truth, man. It lets me know that, hey, man, I want to improve just like that brother, man. I want to be just like that brother, man. We got to provoke each other unto good works, man. You see? So when you make it an objective to grow, you don't think that affects other brothers, man? Other brothers see that, and that emboldens brother to go harder for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. So you got to give yourself homework, man. You got to keep yourself busy, man. You can't just be all idle, nah, man. Do something, man. You see? So with that, Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Ruchakudash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of the great millstone that taught us this truth. Shalom and Kwam Yasharala.